Hello, welcome to the town hall meeting. This week's meeting is a question and answer session for unemployment claims. I'm Ty Stockton. I'm the communications manager at Department of Workforce Services. I'm going to kind of kill some time a little bit here as everybody trickles in. When we turn this thing on, it always slowly lets people add and come in to see what we're doing. So in order to make sure everybody gets a chance to get in, I'm gonna hold off a little bit. I think we had about 90 some people registered to tune in today. It looks like it's slowing down here, so we'll get started. Again, I'm Ty Stockton. I'm the communications manager with Department of Workforce Services. Appreciate you tuning in. As I said, this is the Unemployment Claimants Town Hall Questions and Answers Town Hall. We've got another one coming up next week, safety in the workplace. So that one will focus mainly on things that you can do in your place of business if you're working to make sure that you don't spread COVID-19 or keep yourself from getting COVID-19, as well as some other safety ideas and things that, you know, with some people being out of work and coming back to work again. Haven't been practicing safety procedures, so it's a good time to kind of refresh those as you come back into work. But today is the question and answer session for unemployment. If you have a question, please use down at the bottom of your screen. You may have to hover your mouse over a little bit at the bottom of the screen, but in the little bar at the bottom, there's a Q&A button. If you click that, ask your questions in that Q&A, and we'll try to get to them. If we can't get to all of the questions in the live format today, we can pull those questions out of the session, answer them, and get them back to you. We will send all the questions and their answers, as well as a recording of today's session, to the email that you've used to register for this town hall. And we will also have them posted. If you look at the home screen there, or the screen, that second one up from the bottom, virtual town hall series page, there's a link to that off of our website, our main homepage, which is wyomingworkforce.org. Over in the right-hand side of the sidebar, there's a link to the virtual town hall series page. And all of the previous town halls and all the questions that were asked and their answers can be found on that page. Before we get into this, we do have Amy and Kay from our unemployment division here to answer your questions today. But we've gotten a lot of questions so far about the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, or the PEUC. It's the 13-week extension for regular unemployment. We're currently testing that PEUC system. We had to completely rewrite the whole system to allow PEUC claims in our system. It's a big job. They've been working around the clock to try to get that up and running, both in our unemployment office and with the vendors who have put the WYUI system online portal in place. And that wyui.yo.gov is that second link down on the home page here, or on the screen that you're seeing. That's where you can apply for all of these things, including the PEUC, when it's available. It's not ready to go yet, but we're getting closer as we go. We're hoping to have that before too long. They're working very hard, working as quickly as they can, and we don't yet have an estimated date for when it will be available, but we'll get it up and running as quickly as possible. So that kind of answers quite a few of those questions that we've gotten so far. If you do have more questions about PEUC, please ask them in that Q&A feature down at the bottom of the page, and we'll get to them as we can. But Amy and Kay, I'm gonna ask the first question that isn't about when it's going to be available here, and we'll just jump right into this. We've got about a half an hour for this. We're going to go till about 10:30. We may go a little bit over if you still have questions, but this one's slated for a half-hour session. So Amy and Kay, who qualifies for the 13-week extension? Is it anyone who was on unemployment prior to the COVID-19 outbreak?
So the 13-week extension is for anyone who has exhausted all rights to regular unemployment. They do not have to be unemployed directly related to the pandemic, but they cannot be eligible for regular unemployment. They have to wait until they've run out of all of their benefits on a regular claim before they could apply for the pandemic extension. Also, they had to have been eligible for regular unemployment and had a claim in the state of Wyoming within the last 2 years. It had to have been started from July of 2018 until now.
Thank you. The next question is, once it is available, how do I file a PEUC claim under the 2020 CARES Act?
So at this point in time, I don't have specific steps to give as we're just now starting to test it, but watch the WyomingWorkforce.org website for the announcement when it is ready and available. And from what I do know, you will go into the website, log in,
Well, I
and
think we
go
lost
under.
you there a little bit, Amy.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
We've lost Amy's audio feed.
Can you hear me now? I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I did see from one individual that you can. I'm not sure if we still have Ty on the phone call. But if you can hear me, you'll be going on to the website and file unemployment. Underneath that tab, there is another tab that's going to say file additional claim. And you will go down that path and enter any new employment you had since the last time you filed for unemployment, and just answer all the questions. It is very similar to filing an initial claim. It's going to ask you the same types of questions, and just follow the guidance and you'll be good to go.
Thank you so much for that. This is Jessica. I am another employee of the Department of Workforce Services, just jumping in for Ty here until we can get him back on the line. Can everybody hear me okay?
Can you hear me? I think.
Oh, you're back. Okay, Ty, thank you. I'll hop off.
I don't know what happened. I apologize for that. And I hope I didn't talk over Amy while she was answering that question. Again, I apologize. I'm not sure with everything going on and everybody working from different places, it's hard to tell what's going on. Looks like you guys got that question answered though. So I'll move on to the next one. So this person asked, my benefits for regular unemployment insurance expired the week of March 29th. When can I apply for PEUC? Will my benefits be backdated to March 29th?
Potentially, yes. That is the start of the extension program, March 29th, and we will be reviewing those on an individual basis for each claimant.
Thank you. Currently, I'm unemployed, but I'm due to return to work on May 30th. So this person probably already is back to work now. Am I still eligible to receive benefits if I'm not full-time? Also, will the benefits be retroactive? And if so, to what date?
So again, the program start date for the extension is March 29th. So yes, they could potentially be eligible between March 29th and when they return to work. And yes, individuals may be eligible to file for unemployment when they're working part-time. They have to be working less than 35 hours in a calendar week, and they have to be earning less than their regular unemployment benefit amount for them to collect any benefits. And that's going to differ for each individual.
Thank you, Amy. I was just informed that my claim was exhausted and I'm no longer receiving benefits. If there's a large gap between now and the time when the extension period begins, what will the process look like to receive those extended benefits if I'm still unemployed?
Again, file for the extension once it is available on our website, and we will look at whether or not we can backdate those claims. If we do allow a backdate of those claims, we will need to send out paper weekly certifications because they are about 2 months worth of weekly certifications, and our computer system won't allow more than 6 weeks at a time. So you very well may be receiving paper documents from us, and you need to fill those out and turn them in.
Perfect, thank you. Once the system is in place, how long will it take to apply and receive your first payment? Will my returning to work affect the eligibility of past weeks?
So we will take that claim and, you know, depending on when they worked, we'll determine the effective date. And yes, benefits will stop once they've gone back to full-time work. So this may just be for past weeks and not any weeks going forward.
Thank you. This next question I think may have to do with, we did have a server issue. We had the holiday, the Memorial Day holiday, which anytime we have a holiday on a Monday, it generally pushes payments back a day. But then at that same time, we had the misfortune of a server crash, and the UI folks worked very hard to get that back up and running as quickly as they could. A couple weeks ago, if you were in this situation, you may not have gotten your payment that week, but then it would have been the following week that you got your payment. Had another server issue that they got resolved very quickly and got that back up and running as quickly as they could. This question may have to do with that. Can you please let me know about the status of my UI benefits? I've still not received my benefits from the week filing on 5/21. And again, this may be resolved for that person, but can you please explain a little bit about how that, how that works when they see that the payment is made? It may not appear in their bank account right away. It may be a few days until that shows up in their bank. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And just for a little clarification, we did have some server issues. We were able to make payments on Friday, the 22nd of May, and then almost went an entire week without payments going out until Friday, the 29th of May. This week, everything was resolved after working with Microsoft Azure. They have our cloud system, and that's where the problem resulted, or that's what caused the problem. So we worked with Microsoft, got everything taken care of, and so far so good after that. As far as seeing payments, once it says payment in your account or on your account on our website, once you see payment, give it about 48 hours, not counting weekends, because once we send the payment, it has to leave our bank to go to each individual bank or the debit card, and that takes a little while. So just be patient, and that delay could be on the other end as well. Each bank is different.
Thank you. I'm curious to know, if we hire a part-time employee and we have the starting date in June and an ending date determined in September, all is known up front, are they still able to collect unemployment when they're done?
Yes, they are. I actually have a number of employers that will ask about that, even though there's a known separation date and both parties agree to that up front. If that is still a layoff due to a lack of work, that individual can file for unemployment, and that employer is chargeable.
And then kind of to follow up on that one, Amy, if they're already getting, if somebody's already on unemployment and then they come back to work for a short amount of time and then laid off again after that work has exhausted, that person just keeps that claim active but doesn't file the continued claim each week, correct?
Correct. And at the point in time when they are separated from their employer again, they simply need to go back onto our website and reactivate their claim. They'll file an additional claim.
Thank you. This one is a job attached question. Can you please outline the process to apply for an extension if you have a job attached status?
So when the extension is up and going, everybody will file that through the additional claim path. Job attachment is only for 12 weeks from the effective date of a claim, and there must be new employment. So if the individual exhausted their benefits back in November of 2019 and has not worked since then, they cannot be job attached. It cannot start over. However, if they exhausted their regular claim back in November, then went back to work and separated recently, and will be going back to work within 12 weeks of the effective date of their claim to an employer that paid 50% or more of their base period, we will look at job attachment. There is a question on the application that asks if there's any employer intending to call them back to work within 12 weeks. They would need to answer yes and let us know when they're going to be going back to work.
Thank you. I recently applied for unemployment in New York because I was going to school there, but got sent back to Wyoming due to COVID-19. I got a letter stating I had to start looking for jobs here in Wyoming or else I wouldn't receive my benefits. I was told that if we got laid off due to COVID-19, but would be getting hours back once everything can open again, that we didn't have to do a job search. Which way, how do you handle that?
Our system sends out a letter at the start of every claim, letting each claimant know that they need to be registered for work within 14 days. However, if the individual is unemployed due to the COVID-19 pandemic and said as much on the initial claim for unemployment, they were allowed to be exempt from that requirement for 12 weeks. Once that 12 weeks runs out, they have to be meeting the regular unemployment requirements of being able, available, actively seeking work, and being registered for work.
Thank you. And then I'm going to actually ask a follow-up on that one. If somebody is looking for work and they're offered a job, can they decline that job when it's offered and still continue to get their benefits from unemployment?
That's a great question. That is something we will be looking at on a case-by-case basis, because refusal of work is almost like a voluntary quit, and it can completely deny unemployment benefits. We have to look for good cause on every individual claim. So it's not cut and dry. I can't give a for sure yes or no, but more often than not, that will deny benefits.
Thank you. And then clarification on that last question. It sounds like that person may have filed in New York and got that letter possibly from New York. So if that's the case, they'll need to contact New York's unemployment insurance system to find out how they handle the job search, correct?
That is correct. And we do send out that letter to any individual that's living in the state of Wyoming if they are filing a claim in another state. It's a courtesy just to let them know they need to register for work and where they can do that. But they would need to check with the state where they're filing the claim. You're right.
Thank you. What do self-employed people need to do? What do we do to file for unemployment if we're self-employed?
So if an individual is self-employed and not eligible for regular unemployment, they can file for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. That program has been on our website ever since May 1st. They can also call to file those claims, but I would recommend going online, and they will need to file a regular unemployment claim at the same time to determine that they're not eligible for it. So they're going to go down the file unemployment claim path, and they will answer yes, that they are unemployed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The system will actually ask questions for both regular unemployment and the pandemic unemployment assistance, and then our staff will determine which program to put them under.
Excellent. And that's all through wyui.wyo.gov. All claims are filed there. There's no separate place to file for PUA or regular unemployment. It's all in the same portal, so you don't have to look for different ones. If we get unemployment, does it go on our taxes? Will we have to pay back or pay taxes on what we get from unemployment?
Yes, unemployment is considered to be taxable income at the federal level, and if the claimant prefers, we can withhold 10% of that from their claim upfront every week that they file for and are paid. We can withhold that and send it straight to the IRS. So that's an option they can pick on their profile.
Thank you. The other part of this question is they also need to get the password or PIN reset. And there's an email address to do that. And we actually have that posted right on at the very top of our main webpage at wyomingworkforce.org. Up at the top I'm going to try to share my screen and show you where that is. So bear with me a moment. So if you need a password reset, you can send an email to dwscspui.benefits@wyo.gov, and you'll need to include your correct me if I'm wrong on this, Amy, but your name, the last four of your social security number, and your phone number to that email address, and they'll get your password reset for you. They'll call you to get that reset. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. And that is the only time that you should ever share your social security number. And in that case, only the last four of your social security number. If you get any messages from anybody asking for any other public or private information through emails or through Facebook, our unemployment office will not ask for those things. They will call you to get that information. So don't share that information with anybody who asks. There are some fraud cases going around. If you do suspect fraud, again on this web page, if you scroll down a little bit, report fraud, you click that link, and then you can file a claim right here for fraud relating to unemployment insurance. Visit here, click that link, and you can report that. You can also call the general fraud hotline at 888-996-9226 if you think that somebody's trying to steal your information. Let me figure out how I can stop sharing my screen. There it is. and get you back to Amy answering your questions here. Did I answer that one correctly, Amy?
You did. You're great at this.
Okay. Is any of this retroactive? And I think you've answered this one before already, but if you could answer it again. PEUC, PUA, the FPUC, are those retroactive? And if so, back to when, please?
Okay, sure. The program start date for the pandemic unemployment assistance goes back to February 2nd on a nationwide level. However, the governor gave us orders to start shutting down on March 13th. So in Wyoming, March 15th is about as far back as those pandemic unemployment assistance claims will go. With the extra $600 FPUC, that is effective as of March 29th. And the same thing with the pandemic extension, that is effective March 29th. That was more than 2 months ago. At this point, I can't guarantee that everyone would be backdated that far. We look at that on an individual basis. And the FPUC of the extra $600 will end on July 25th. The pandemic extension program ends on December 26th. And the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, also ends December 26th. They each have different dates to them.
Thank you. And we actually have that information on our frequently asked questions page. So if you have any questions that aren't answered here, or any questions that come up along the way, you can always visit that frequently asked questions page. There's a link to it on your screen right now, but there's also a link to it right from our homepage at wyomingworkforce.org up in the upper right hand side of the sidebar on the right. We're getting close to 10:30. We may go a little bit over. We have a few more questions here. Again, if you have questions, please use the questions and answers button at the bottom of the screen. You might have to hover your mouse over it, and we'll try to get to those. If we don't get to all of them, we'll try to answer them and send them back to you at the email address that you used to register. We'll also post them on the Town Hall series page, second link up from the bottom there. Again, that's also linked from our wyomingworkforce.org page. The next question is, I'm a part-time self-employed and part-time employed. Hours have been reduced due to COVID-19 and childcare. I tried to file for unemployment as self-employment and was told to file on my employer also. I was accepted under my employer, but not on my business. What's the next step for how I can get compensation?
All right, that's a great question. That is something we actually discussed with the regional Department of Labor and made sure that we were following the rules correctly. If an individual is eligible for regular unemployment, even if it is for a lesser amount and does not include the self-employment income, they have to file for regular unemployment based on that part-time job. So for this individual, if they were eligible for regular unemployment, that's what they have to do. They have to use that program first. The pandemic unemployment assistance is only available for individuals who have exhausted all rights to regular unemployment.
Thank you. And then with either of those, the regular or the PUA, they'll also get the FPUC, the $600 a week, to hopefully help even things out a little bit.
That is correct. However, if they are working part-time, as soon as they earn as much in a week from their employer or their self-employment as they make on their regular unemployment payment, they will not collect anything, and that includes that extra $600.
Thank you. Do you know what else I need to do in the system when the program is implemented for PEUC in order to get benefits? Is there anything this person should be doing now to make sure that when PEUC is up and running, that things will go smoothly?
One thing I would recommend is they do need to be available, and actively looking for work. With the pandemic extension, regular unemployment rules will apply. So they need to be making an active work search with 2 employers each week. They need to get registered for work at their local job service and meeting all of the regular requirements.
Thank you. My UI funds ended the week of March 14th. I've continued to file continued claims entering my job searches. How do I know if I'm going to receive funds?
Not sure I understand that one. You mentioned job searches, and how do they know if they'll receive funds?
I think this is, I could be wrong here, but I believe this is a PEUC question. This person had unemployment through March 14th. They've continued to try to find work and maintained a record of that in the system, which is good because you're going to need to have that in order to collect that. The backdated PEUC when it's available. But is there I think they're asking, and this actually might be a question for me now that I look at it a little closer. We will definitely put out a notice as soon as PEUC is available on our main website at wyomingworkforce.org. We'll also post it on social media. We will let the media know so that you may see it in your newspaper or hear it on your radio station. We'll get that word out as broadly and as quickly as we can when PEUC is available. But is there a way to check in the yui.yo.gov system to see where the status is for a claim?
Yes, when you log into the website, the home page, the claim summary screen or claim inquiry is where you would go to see that. It will show you the type of claim that you are on, and it will show you the weekly benefit amount and the balance. When you see that updated with EUC for extension, and it'll have a dollar amount as a remaining balance in there, you will know that that's been processed. The other half of that is for the weeks that have already been entered out there after you exhausted your regular claim. If you kept filing, we will then reprocess those weeks if the back date is approved, and you may see a payment on those. So those are a few things you can watch for on the website.
Thank you. Are there resources available to help claimants with working with landlords and creditors while waiting for the extension? This actually may be a question for another one of our divisions. You can possibly call 211. That's an information line that has been set up to help with questions like this. You can also talk to our workforce centers. Folks in our workforce centers may be able to find those resources for you in finding out that information about working with your landlords or creditors. That might be a question that we need to get back to and answer later. That's not a question that you can answer, is it, Amy?
I would have given the same answer you did. 211 is the main resource that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you. We are a little bit over, but I'm going to keep going for a little while here. We've got a few more questions. I have an issue on file status for the last 3 weeks. I've contacted via request for assistance 3 times with no communication back. What's my next step to get this resolved?
What I would recommend is either go into your local office and call us, or try to reach us by phone by calling our claim center number, the 473-3789. We need to have our adjudication unit look at that to determine what's going on. And unfortunately, issue on file is the terminology used on the website, and it does not give you any specifics. It simply means there's something on your claim that we need to address before we can send payment out, and we're working those as fast as we can.
And just to add on to that one a little bit, Amy, if there's an issue on file, generally that means that somebody at UI is already looking into that, and they are working to resolve that issue without you having to be involved at all. If they do need to contact you, normally they will call you, but I've been instructed that if you see that issue on file for more than 10 days, then do try to call that 307-473-3789. And as Amy said, the adjudicators will work with you to try to figure out what's going on and try to get that solved for you. Will my claim affect my employer's EMR? And this is a question for those of you in the audience who aren't aware of this. You know, your employer pays unemployment insurance premiums, and those are based on a formula that takes into account how many unemployment claims they've had to file and how those have turned out. Will this, with COVID-19, will this be bad for those employers?
This is not entirely my area, but I do know a little
Okay.
bit about the employer charging. There are programs out there for the tax side of the house. We are more than likely non-charging employers that are related to, for the separations that are related to COVID-19. And the U.S. Department of Labor is looking at the employment or the tax rate for the employers and hoping to have little or no impact on their rate. But again, that's a question for our tax side of the house. I apologize.
Thank you. We'll try to get an answer from the tax side to post on the Town Hall series page, questions and answers, and send back to everybody who's registered. If I registered and started my claim today, when is my next filing day? Would that be Sunday coming up, or should I wait until the following Sunday?
I would say every Sunday. Try and file every Sunday just so that you're in a habit of filing. Technically, you've got 14 days to complete that weekly certification after the week is over for it to be on time. And for the very first one that you file, try, but if it says that there's no claim there yet, just keep trying back as often as you can within those 14 days. We have a work item that we have to resolve to establish the claim in the first place. And we try to get those done within a couple of days of the claim being set up.
Thank you. We've got time for a few more, I think. My main income comes from a summer tourist season job. I've been working it for the last 2 decades, rehired every summer. This summer, they're not hiring due to COVID-19 closures. I was denied PUA because I was not working first and let go versus not hired to begin with. Is an appeal worthwhile?
Yeah, I would go ahead and have that individual reach out to us so we can further investigate it. And if nothing else, yes, absolutely, I would recommend appealing that decision.
Thank you. Is there any way to go in and correct information after submitting a claim, or does that have to be corrected by a specialist or through an appeal?
After something's already been submitted, the only way to change the answer would be to get a hold of the staff here. You can do that by calling us, by sending us a request for assistance, by faxing or mailing us a document, but yeah, that would have to be corrected by staff.
Thank you. Okay, this question comes up a lot, and we'll try to get to this one. I'm not sure how many more we'll be able to do, but my benefits were exhausted in April, but I've still been looking for jobs each week. When I called the center, they told me to just keep track and not put it in the website. How will I enter these once the PEUC is up and running?
It depends on how far back we are going. As I had mentioned a little earlier, if we're only going back 6 weeks or less, they will be able to file those on the website and enter the information at that time, including their work searches. If we are going to have them file for more weekly certifications than the 6 weeks, we'll send them a paper copy, and they can fill that information out on that piece of paper and send it back to us by mail or fax.
Thank you. We have a clarification question on one that you answered earlier. Can you please explain the paper process you alluded to concerning the program does not go back 2 months for the claims? They said next week they need to file for 11 weeks. Is there a form that we can copy or download now to be prepared?
So those paper weekly certifications are only given out by staff because we do not encourage filing by paper. If possible, we want everyone to file by phone or by internet. Paper is very manual. It slows up the entire process because a human on this end has to individually process every single weekly certification, and it does hold up payments. So that being said, for anyone that will have a claim backdated more than 6 weeks, someone on this side, a staff member, will send you those pieces of paper and have you fill them out and send them back in. There's no way for you to get those ahead of time. we need to approve it first and give you the weekly certifications for those weeks that we approved.
All right, thank you. I have one more question, and let me again reiterate that if your question has not been answered, keep an eye on your email. We will send these out to everybody who registered through the email address that you registered for. It may be a few days to get all these questions answered and sent back to you. It will also be posted on that virtual town hall series page that you can get to from our main website at wyomingworkforce.org. Just click on the town halls link and it'll take you right to them. But this last question is, I think I've been filing a continuing claim. Do I need to put that information in for each week as an additional claim? I'm not sure exactly what that one means, but it may mean more to you, Amy.
So if an individual has been filing their weekly certifications all along, even after exhausting their regular unemployment, those will be kept in our system. They won't need to be filed again. When the additional claim for the extension is set up, that will not include any weekly certification information. It's really just to kickstart the program and get it set up to file future weekly certifications. So if they're already in the system, no need to do it a second time. If they're not and they are less than 6 weeks, the claimant can do them online. If they are more than 6 weeks, we'll send them the papers.
Thank you so much. We are going to record all these questions that have come in that we have not had time to get to. There's only a few more that we haven't gotten to so far. I appreciate you guys all taking your time out of your busy day. And those of you who tuned in, thank you for your questions. We'll try to get these answered for you as quickly as possible and get them posted. I'm going to let the UI folks get back to they're testing that PEUC system right now to hopefully get it up and running very soon. Again, we don't have that PEUC 13-week extension for regular unemployment claims up on the system yet, but they are working very hard to try to get that up and get it working well as soon as possible. We'll keep you posted on wyomingworkforce.org, our Facebook and social media pages. We'll send that message out to the media as well as soon as it is up and available. And we'll try to keep you posted on that. Thank you again for tuning in. Again, next week is Safety in the Workplace Town Hall. Keep an eye on that virtual Town Hall series page as well for any updated or any upcoming town halls coming up. And thank you for tuning in. Good luck to you all, and we will see you again next time.